Good morning, Green.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone.
Our team is going to present our work in progress student and teacher engagement during the COVID-19. That's not only about our technology, but our experience beyond the technology. So we are from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Green and I are educational development officers in the Educational Development Center. And the second author, Dr. Rodney, is an assistant professor in the Department of Applied Social Sciences. So in Hong Kong Polytechnic University, we started the involuntary, I would say that involuntary online learning before the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to social unrest, the face-to-face classes were suspended from November to January this year. That's from approximately 2 months time, and then we did not have the face-to-face classes. And at that time, and then everything was unprepared, and there was sudden campus suspension. And so you can say that we are more prepared for the COVID-19 online teaching because of the previous experience. But it is quite uncertain that when the online learning and teaching will eventually resume to the normal or go beyond the new normal road. We are still unsure, so that's a challenge to us. Because everything is very unprepared and everything is going to change during the time. So this is not a vigorous research, but our work aims to get some perceptions from students and learn from our experience and to improve our work to deliver better student experience and to also to teachers teaching experience during the project. So the first thing that we try to explore is to investigate whether students from different backgrounds has different perceptions on online learning. For example, whether they are STEAM majors would affect their perception on online learning, or even their gender, or whether the cohort would matter, so that we as the educational staff can be well prepared to facilitate students to adopt the online learning effectively. And what are the implications to learning and teaching in this new normal? And most importantly, what are teachers' reflections and next steps? Now the fourth point, teachers' reflection and next steps, is very important and incremental. Now, when we are doing a research project, and it's similar to after project, and then you do a summary, and then you do a conclusion, and then you improve your work. But we don't have time to do it. Every day we receive new problems. Every day we need to think of new solutions. And so I would say that in my life, during these months, my work is heavier than in the old days. And that's very stressful because everything uncertain is coming, but yet very challenging. And we are happy to share with you some of our discoveries and our solutions. That's not a perfect solution, but these solutions eventually could at least to improve the current situation and get us well prepared for the upcoming semesters. Now, so this is like a practitioner-driven approach, and then we do not rely too much on the literature review. And then if you are from the computer science background, and then you will probably know what I'm talking about, that's quick and dirty work. And then the purpose is to react and to respond quickly with deliverables to the rapidly changing environment. And so we got a small funding to innovate e-learning pedagogies through the close collaborative work between frontline teachers and educational technologies. Green and I are serving as the educational technologist role, and then we work with the faculty members to quickly design, deploy, review, and implement the solutions. Obviously, this is very relevant to the current situation, but in the angle of research work, that's not rigor. Now, so before the semester, we try to know our students by giving them a very short survey. Now, the reason is if you are giving a very long and very systematic formal survey to the students, we are quite concerned about the response rate. We try to get the feedback from students as much as possible to learn about their background. Now, one of the interesting findings that at the first question, we asked the students, in the previous year, have you attended classes fully online? And then assume that, say, the COVID pandemic started in spring. That's from the Northern Hemisphere's view, from spring 2020 until now. And then students should have studied fully online, no matter they are year one students or they are the non-year one students. But in fact, they commented that still a minority of them reported that they have not attended fully online in the previous years. Now, if you look at the students' feedbacks, they comment about their previous online learning experience before that, and then they commented that they have worked with classmates together in online mode, so that's good that they have collaborative experience, and then they know how to participate in online activities, so they had the experience. So look at this point, out of a Likert scale of 6, they enjoyed learning online. At least they were somewhat positive in learning online. So we are a little bit relieved because they are not too negative about online learning. And they have certain capabilities, and then so the barrier to start won't be too high. But if you look at one of the open questions, what's the most frustrated online experience or moments that students comment on? And then in the comments they wrote to us, you see the majority I've highlighted in orange color. That's about either the technical problem or the network problem. And then so technical issue remains the major cause of disengagement. Students were pissed off about encountering these technical hiccups. And you look at the green one, if we exclude those non-technical domains, and then we can see that they reported the lack of the social interaction to meet new friends and communicate with classmates, for example, remains their problem. And then it is a cause of disengagement. And feeling lonely, feeling helpless as well. So if we ask the question in another dimension, what's the most enjoyable learning experience or moment? You can see that I've highlighted in red recordings of lecture and tutorial and chatbot interaction. So you see these are new functions that wasn't available in the old days of face-to-face delivery. So chatbot interaction, that's kind of related to the social presence. And you know, the recordings of lecture and tutorial, and then students perceive that they could have a backup of the lesson for study. Now, if you look at the green, that's the another significant response to discuss online, to interact with teachers. Again, that's reported as the social interaction. And then you see that the technology is improving engagement as well. although it could cause disengagement. And the most critical key for students to enjoy and how we can use technology to help is to provide some sort of social presence and collaboration to students to facilitate their collaboration. Now, looking at this analysis by the majors, now I'm not going to look at the details now. BSE, this one, represents Building and Structural Engineering, and then this is a STEM-related subject. BRE, Building and Real Estate. APSS, Social Science, Applied Social Science, and Applied Biology and Chemistry Technology. This is ABCT, Biology and Chemistry. So you see that BSE and ABCT, these are the STEM-related students, while the other one are non-STEM related. Now look at the numerical figures, and the survey reveals that it looks that the biology and chemistry students, they reported more satisfaction than their partners. While the social science people, we don't know why, but they reported that they have worked less with the classmates in online mode for the group projects. So maybe that's a tendency that even though we asked students to work online in the previous semester, and then they still intended to work in small groups, face-to-face, maybe, and then we are not sure, and then we need to explore about this later. If we go to the analysis by cohorts, and then we can see that there's no much difference between the year one and non-year one students about their perceptions on the online teaching and learning. So these are our observations. Now, major of study has an impact on students' perception, and then maybe they have different expectations. For example, social science people, they emphasize more on the social interaction. And then the STEM students, maybe they are more familiar with technology, so technology won't be a barrier for them. But STEM students may not be very strongly in favor of online learning when compared with other their peers. And education technology is the key to engage them, and also the key to disengage them if it is not ready. Pedagogy infrastructure, that should be ready. And most importantly, our mindset must be ready. And my colleague Green, he's a technical expert, would share with us some of his insights and observations.
Let me
Green,
talk something about the technology. In our study, we have the question about whether or not the major study matter with technology in the students' online learning. And KB talk about the STEM and non-STEM department. So BRE and APSS, which are highlighted, we find that the comment received from the student from these two departments have a relatively high rate in reporting the technical issue when doing the online learning. So while the STEM department, which is BSE and ABCT, the student report less technical issue, which is, I think, which was expected. I think the STEM student, we expect them to have maybe more mature in using technology. So yeah, next slide. We also have the question about whether or not the gender of the student matter with technology. And there was one literature from Padilla saying that there is gender difference in the students' intention to use blended learning systems. But in our study, we find that perhaps our student using technology in those quantitative items, we find that there is no significant difference. But when we look into the detail, in the qualitative items, female students, they did report more network and technical problems. As you can see on the slide, they're more frustrated. There may be some Wi-Fi or software installation that they may not be that familiar with. Pass it to you.
To me, as the educational technologies, I am more concerned with the qualitative feedback, because only these comments students given to us and teachers given to us can help us to give better solutions to address and to target on the demands and to provide some solutions. So what have we done is we have a close working relationship with teachers, and we plan the courses with appropriate e-learning technology. Now, technical know-how is essential. We need to know how to use different software, different platforms, but that's insufficient, because technology itself, and then it's only a tool, and then you need to address students' social needs and also the user experience. Now, Green is, if you look at Green's background, and then he's definitely in a very nice indoor situation. And then I intentionally choose this background because I want you to know that this is not a virtual background, and that this is a real background. And we should expect our students and our teachers may not have ideal hardware, ideal network. And then how can they survive in this online learning environment? We need to do a little bit for them, and then we will share our work with you later, and what we should be concerned about when design these solutions. So we provide the optimal user experience, and ideally we provide some value-added features for the students that we cannot even use or enjoy these features in the old days. Now, so we are having a survey right now at the end of the semester. And then I look at these columns for comparison. And then we've adopted these features. And then there's no difference for students to come to work in these subjects when compared with their participation in other subjects online. But you can see that this has a very, very significant improvement. And then when compared with other subjects, students can receive feedback from the teachers very effectively and to ask questions. So you see the role of the social interaction. And then overall speaking, I enjoy learning this subject this semester when compared with their overall perceptions on learning online this semester. So that these are possible explanations when students they have the how I should say that when students have a sense of social presence in the subject, they tend to have a higher level of satisfaction and enjoyment. And then that possibly explains on what we are doing. And so our approach is to design solutions to facilitate the learning. So the first key is to improve the social presence with the social interaction as the key element. Think of a replacement more than social interaction and to share as a peer learning opportunities. So for example, to use breakout groups, so they have more chances for collaboration, a chat box for them to play videos, poll and surveys, group assignments, etc. And use Padlet to allow students to share their findings with their peers and roundtable discussion to follow. So Green, and then your part to wrap up this discussion. We have only a minute left. Yep.
When we talk about using online teaching or online learning, we know there are lots of resistance because when we encountered one question like if our student got disconnected.
Really sorry to interrupt you guys because you have used up all the time. Maybe we can leave all the questions for you to settle via the chat room. Really sorry about that because we have a tight schedule.